Now a small fun activity, okay? So imagine that you are the author of this book.
So I would like to show you the book. So it's called The Best Laid Plans by Sidney Sheldon. Okay, hi, I'm Vasvi.
Hello buddies, welcome to a special series. It's called Your View on Books. So you would have seen me talking about books in live streams and videos that I call them as My View on Books. But this is a special series and I'm going to invite a lot of guest speakers to talk about their favorite books and generally about reading. So today for the pilot episode of Your View on Books, we have a very special guest and I will let her do the introduction. So please give a short introduction about yourself to our viewers.
Okay, hi, I'm Vasvi. I love reading books. I've read a lot of books ever since I was in school, and I'm really excited to be here and talk about the book I'll be talking about today.
Okay, thank you, Vasvi. So, Vasvi has her favorite book that she's going to talk about. So, before we get into that, we'll ask some basic questions about her. So, about reading. When did you start reading, and what was the trigger point that made you turn towards books and discover reading, and that you kind of liked reading and then you continued it? So, when was that point?
Okay, I think I was in 8th standard and I had a bookshelf, a complete library in my home. So my father is an avid reader and he has a lot of books. So I just went there and I picked this very thin book called The Alchemist.
Alchemist. Okay.
Yeah, and then I just started reading it and I couldn't stop. So I completed the entire book in a single day. And that's why I understood that I really liked reading, and that was the starting point for me.
Okay, very good. She already recommended a book, Alchemist. I think I've talked about this book in one of my episodes, so it's a really good book. Do read it. Okay, so
And it's a very beginner-friendly book.
okay, so almost more than 3-5 years you have been reading now.
I think about 8 to 9 years now.
8 to 9.
Yeah.
So, what kind of books you read, and what are the genres you have explored, and what's your favorite genre?
Okay, so I enjoy fiction a lot. So I like to read books that explores emotions very deeply. So it can be any genre, be it mystery, thriller, romance. But if it has a very good storyline and it explores those emotions, so that's the kind of book I like to read.
Okay, your first preference is always like exploring the emotional depths of characters. But coming back to my question, so consider that is done, and you have a solid story and a good character being explored emotionally. What genre you would like?
I think I'll like a thriller or a mystery book because that has a lot of twists and turns and that keeps you hooked.
Okay.
Yeah.
So enough of exploration about Vasvi. Let's jump into our favorite book recommendation for today's episode. So talk us
Okay.
about your book.
So I would like to show you the book. So it's called The Best Laid Plans by Sidney Sheldon. It's an absolutely, it's an absolutely amazing book. Once I started reading it, I just couldn't put it down. So I just kept on reading and reading and reading until it was done. Yeah, it's a thriller, it's a mystery. As I said, it explores emotion. It explores a wide range of emotions such as your greed for power or your need to take a revenge. I absolutely loved the book. And the ending, I am telling you, like you will not expect the ending. So you can think about 100 different possibilities and this book will change your mind. So at the end, you will be mind blown like what has happened. Yeah.
Okay. So more about the book. First, let us know what is the story and how many characters. So yeah, story and the characters.
Okay, so it revolves around two main characters called Leslie and Oliver. So Leslie is this very attractive, beautiful, intelligent girl who works for a advertisement agency. She falls in love with this person who's contesting to be a governor who approaches her agency for his advertisements, who's named Oliver. He is very motivated, very power driven, and he also loves her. So I would like to read the first line of the book for you to get a grasp of what it is. So it says, the first entry in Leslie Stewart's diary read, "Dear diary, this morning I met the man I'm going to marry." It was a simple, optimistic statement with not the slightest portent of dramatic chain of events that was about to occur. So, yeah. So, this woman, she's completely madly in love with this person, but then he ends up not marrying her, and the story revolves around her wanting to take a revenge on this person.
Okay. So I haven't read this book. So from a point of view of a reader who hasn't read the book, so apart from the main characters, Leslie and the love interest, any other supporting characters?
Yeah, so there's this person who's helping Oliver run for the president election, for the governor's elections, and then Oliver was supposed to marry his daughter, but then things didn't take off well, and that's that's the reason he's approached Leslie's organization. But then he has to visit Paris one day, telling her that okay, I will be back and then we'll get married. They're bound to be married the next weekend. They have their dresses ready. They have had their maid of honor and their best man prepared. But then she hears that he got married to the girl in Paris, and that completely shatters her. So the person right now is helping Oliver to fulfill all his dreams, first of becoming a governor, and later on he also wishes to be the US president. So, yeah.
Okay. So I know that you are a writer. So from the writing perspective, first question is it story oriented or character oriented? And the second question is, how did you feel about the writing? Like, what makes you love this book or like this book, and that you want to come on an episode and talk about it? So, yeah.
I would say this is a very story-oriented book, which also explores which also explores characters and their emotions. So it has a lot of twists and turns, and the setting keeps on changing. So it is like a movie playing in the background, and you'll thoroughly enjoy this book. So the writing also is very good. It's very easy to read. Sidney Sheldon has his way with the words. So I've read one more book of him, and that was also very captivating, very easy to read, and you'll basically enjoy the book. Yeah.
Okay. About the narrative. So you read the first page, the very first lines of the book, and it's a journal entry, right? So is it like switching between different point of views, like first person and then a journal entry, and then from third person, or like how is it sticking to the same narrative?
No, it's sticking to a narrative. So it's not from anybody's point of view. That the writer is just trying to tell a story of different people who are in this book, and that's how. So the scene is completely shifting from one person to the other.
Okay. So apart from all these technical elements, for a reader, basically a bibliophile, doesn't know anything about this writing techniques and all, how did you feel? Like the story, what sold you? Like you read the complete story, right? So what makes you think that this is a book that any bibliophile should read and will enjoy?
Okay, so as I told you, it has a very interesting plot twist. And when I read the last chapter, I felt so confused. So I had to go back to the book and reread those chapters, and I understood his play of words. And okay, now this makes sense to me, that why did he choose to write it in this way. So I guarantee you that once you are at the end page, you will go back and take a look at the previous chapters to figure out that.
So it is kind of has encoded elements, you see, like you have to go back and read. Okay. So was it the first book from Sidney Sheldon you read?
No. I have read another book from him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you pick it up after reading a synopsis, or you just went by the author name?
I went by the author name. So it said it's his international bestseller. and I had thoroughly enjoyed his previous book, so I thought that maybe I'll read this one as well.
So, what other books from Sidney Sheldon have you read?
Uh, it's called, I think, Tell Me Your Dreams.
Tell Me Your Dreams. Yeah, it was first ever podcast episode by Pradita recommended that. So, I know that. I haven't read that, but that's a pilot episode which launched our podcast series.
Okay, so that was my first book. I read it, I think, 2 years ago. And yeah, it also had a very interesting story, a very interesting plot twist. So, and this book, I think, is better. Like, this is the epitome of thrillers.
Okay. Now a small fun activity. Okay. So imagine that you are the author of this book. So obviously, when she talked about the book, it is so tempting, and I'm a thriller freak. Any thriller freak would try to get the hands on the book and read. Now, the activity is you are the author of the book, and or let's assume that you have read this book and you didn't like it, and you are convincing people to not read this book. So you have to tell people like don't pick up this book and at least 2 points why you should not. So I can help you here. Any book will have positives and negatives. So the book which has good reviews means that it has a lot of positives. It doesn't mean that there is no negative thing about the book, right? And the book which has bad reviews, there are a lot of negatives. There are some positives still. Okay. So now try to work on the negative points. So mention any 2 negative points and try to make it's a fun activity.
Okay.
Like by now everybody who's watching will know that you like this book and love this book. That's why you're recommending. But it's fun activity. Try to make sure people don't read this book.
Okay. So I've already mentioned that how this book is about revenge and about a power-driven person. But this book also explores another side of the story and tells you about the world where war is the normal thing. And it makes you question that, okay, I'm living this life, but there are people out there who are living a completely different life, who are always not sure that whether they'll be alive the next day or not. So if you cannot handle that, then don't read this book.
So you're saying it's pretty dark and disturbing. Better not read it. That's the point, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. So now it's the...
If you want existential crisis, if you don't want existential crisis, don't read this book.
Yeah, better. Like already you would be facing existential crisis. Don't read it right now. Okay, now the final part where you are trying to convince people to read this book. So it's attractive from the plot synopsis that you gave and the description of the characterization and the writing. So it's pretty convincing for me to at least pick up. And for a normal, common bibliophile or people who doesn't read book, why you think they should pick up this book and read, and what is the convincing factor that anybody who picks it up will read like it?
Okay. So first of all, I would say that people who do not read should start with a fiction. It's very easy to read, and this book, if you enjoy movies, I'm telling you, you are going to enjoy this book because it's not his words that you're reading. It's a complete picture that's playing in your mind, and you'll be imagining everything. There are certain elements in this book that will keep you hooked, and you would like to know what's happening next. So yeah, I think this is
okay. I had one question. So you mentioned it as thriller, right? So I have read so many thrillers. So for thriller to click, there should be minimal dull moments. I mean, you have to have dull moments when you're exploring emotions and all. So how is this faring as a thriller novel? Like, does it have dull moments? Like, what do you say? That works out. Like the character is running, and it has to take a break. So that's the dull moment, or somewhere it's lagging that you feel okay. They could have wrote this part better.
Okay. So this book is not just a thriller, as I just told you. It's a lot more than that, and there's a lot of switching between different scenes. So there would not be a dull moment because you're reading a scene and it's not completed, and then you shifted to completely different scene which triggers altogether different emotions, and then again the previous scene is brought back. So I think it's not lacking in any way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Final. What do you say? Tips on being a bibliophile. So your view on why people should reading and how reading has helped you shape your character or improve your life, better your day-to-day activities. So how reading has played a major role in your life, and then why people should pick up. Like we are in the new generation, right? People are not even reading books. Like they are just into Snapchat, Instagram. So it has become shorter attention span. So why people should pick up books and start reading?
Okay. So I think you get to live a lot many lives when you read. So I can experience being any character I want from any book in my current life. So that's a huge motivation for me. A lot of mistakes that I think people do while trying to read is if they don't like a book after, say, the second or the third chapter, so they continue reading it just for the sake of it, and then when they're like in the middle of it, okay, reading is not for me. You have to try different books, you have to try different genres to really figure out that what works for you, and I think then reading could be a good experience for everybody.
Okay. And yeah, how reading has shaped you?
Okay, so it has given me a lot of perspective. So even for the things that I do not have a first-hand experience, if I've read somebody's story, be it a fictional or a non-fictional thing, so it has made me have views on things, and it really helps me during conversations or forming my own belief system. So yeah, that's how it's changed.
Okay. Thank you so much once again. Show the cover. We were talking about Sidney Sheldon's The Best Laid Plans. It's about 400 pages, right? Yeah, it's a pretty long book. And
358 pages.
yeah, it's a pretty long book, but it's a very promising story and a lot of characters and exploration of emotions of those characters. And Vasvi is, guaranteeing that you will have entertainment. So especially if you're a person who enjoys movies, then it's almost like watching a detailed movie, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. So any final words? How was this experience coming to a video interview and talking about a book?
Yeah, it was really fun. It's my first time trying to be present as a guest and giving an interview, and you made me feel really comfortable. Thanks for that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a thoroughly enjoyable experience.
Okay. I and my channel viewers have to thank you for coming. So this is a very huge step. I have, like, for 3 years I've been talking about books myself, and recently, I think last year we started podcast where people were comfortable to come and give their voice for books and movies and lot of topics we're exploring. But this is a huge step and it's an upgrade for us. So thank you for showing your face as well as your voice and talking about a book. So thank you so much, and I hope you guys enjoyed this special episode for a special series, Your View on Books. Our first guest speaker was Vasvi, and yeah, I will catch you on another live stream, video or podcast. Until then, you're watching Merely with Mary. I'm Mary Dawson, signing off with Vasvi. Bye-bye.